There we are. Okay, I take it we're live right now. And are we running? Sounds good to me. Very good. Yeah. Well, that's a great way to be celebrating our 1 year anniversary. My name is Bob Graves. They call me the Unconventional Pastor, and today is basically the 1 year anniversary of this show. So I've been chatting with you and with various other people for a year now, and we've covered boy a lot of ground, discussed a number of issues. And so for tonight's show, I wanted to bring on Joey, Rhonda, and also Dr. Jones, and hopefully we'll just kind of talk about what this last year has been for each of us as we've been doing this, and maybe talk about some of our favorite moments and some of our maybe not so favorite moments. But anyhow, so let me welcome the folks who are down there in the NCG studio in Florida. I take it, because I can't see you, I take it we have Joey, Rhonda, and Dr. Jones?
That's right.
That
That's
is
right, Bob.
true.
That
Yes.
is true.
Yes,
Good to be
yes.
here. Thanks for inviting us on your anniversary show.
Yes.
We decided to celebrate your anniversary by rearranging our studio and all of our audio cables.
Awesome. And can we see that rearrangement?
Well, you're seeing some of it. Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
a brand new stage that's in the background. We're not sitting there yet, but one day,
Cool.
we're working
Yeah.
towards sitting
Well,
there.
I've been looking for various different sound effects to add here, but whatever. Yeah, and I was looking for some party, sound makers, but I couldn't find any. And I did get one of these though. Let's see, that.
I like that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
They used to
That's
make
my
these
favorite.
things sound like a dentist drill.
Did you buy a cake? Did you buy a cake with the money I sent you to buy a cake?
I should have. Yeah.
Oh.
I just finished some ice cream. Well, not ice cream. It was actually Weiss is a grocery store up here. I don't know if you have it down there, but Weis. Weiss. But they have a brand of frozen yogurt, frozen Greek yogurt, and we just finished off polished off some black raspberry. That was great. Yeah. Anyhow, so we've been here a year. I'm just curious from those of you down there, because you've been doing this for a lot longer than I have, and you've been trying to move things forward. I'm curious to know, was there anything a year ago that has since developed that you were saying, I wasn't expecting that? I'm just curious, have we taken this in a direction you weren't anticipating?
To be honest with you, I think my wife and I share the probably the same viewpoint on this. When you got involved with the New Covenant group, Greg Bray also did. And this really, you two guys really helped to nuance where we wanted to take the New Covenant group. That is with atheists and theists alike. And I think that if anyone would simply watch all of the shows that you have been on, they should be able to see that you're all over the place. And what I mean by that is you're able to speak to so many different topics efficaciously. You're brilliant, but not just brilliant. You're extremely kind, respectful of various kinds of positionings. And this is something that we're thankful for. You don't meet people like you all the time. And to us, you came to us as the genius that we really needed. And so we're very, very thankful. And this has been a delightful 12 months, to say the least. And I think that you're helping, not in a minor way, but in a major way to push us forward. And it's relaxing to work with someone like you. I can't say enough about it.
I was going to say that not only does Bob have the intellectual capabilities, but he's funny also. He's well-rounded in so many areas. So when you watch Bob's show, you just, you're not bored to tears, even if you don't know a lot of the information. There's always something there that you can take away. And I think if everyone would look back and watch all of his videos throughout the whole year, you know, their life could certainly be more enriched, because it reminds me of this fantastic teacher who has these great life coaching skills, and people would be better served, I think, to go back and watch some of the older shows. We actually have this saying, Bob says it a lot, he says conundrum a lot, and so now here
We've said that about 50 times today. It's a Bob Graves conundrum.
Yeah, we always say it's a Bob Graves conundrum, so we call it a BGC now.
Yeah, there you
We've got
go.
a BGC on our hands.
Yeah, when we were trying to separate all the audio channels, we simply couldn't achieve it, so we called that a Bob Graves conundrum.
Right.
Well, normally I would even advise that we be comfortable with conundrum and don't resolve conundrums prematurely. Sometimes we resolve conundrums because we don't like the conundrums, you know, and so yeah, so there are probably not a lot of people advising people to hold on to conundrums, to enjoy them, and to even recognize that that life may have some conundrums that will never be resolved, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. It's a recognition of the mysteries of life that you might be onto something, but you don't know, you know. But anyway, that's sort of some appreciation. I think Joey, I didn't hear anything from you, but I was curious though if there was anything that took place that you weren't anticipating, and oh, look what happened.
Well, for me, you were right on the a wave of input into the vision of the New Covenant group that was. You know, there was a lot of, we had an influx, I would say, in my opinion, is a year ago we had an influx of extremely intelligent people get involved, and Bob was right on the forefront of that. And in fact, at the New Covenant group, some of Bob's biggest fans are atheists, and it's funny to watch this dynamic because I think there's a lot of theists out there that aren't real crazy about Bob's message. You know, might be a light way of putting it, but he exists right, you know, right in a place to where he can start a conversation with a lot of people of different groups, and you know, we may not always agree with him, but it's hard to get mad at him.
You were breaking up there a bit, so it was hard for me to hear exactly what you said. But
yeah, I'm sorry. That's all my fault. We rearranged all the wires here, and it was perfect until I touched it. So.
Oops. Yeah. You know, for myself, I would have to say that a couple of things that I know that surprised me is, first, I didn't know we were going to have this much fun. And it really has been fun. There have been times when you know, doing this has not been for me like, oh my goodness, okay, well, we got a show tonight. What am I going to talk about? Okay, let's see. Well, I got to get this prepared. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a great relief, I know, for me, because when you folks first contacted me and asked me if I would be open to doing something like this, you know, I had actually given up looking for an outlet through which to speak, and I don't think that I was really interested in pushing anything. I would have preferred that if there was an outlet where I could have spoken, it would have just been something that would have been more natural, you know, so that speaking out was just something that would be a good thing to do without being forced. And so when I was asked to do this, it was for me real refreshing and a relief to have found this, and perhaps this is you know, some of that jaded from the past. I didn't really think that was going to ever happen, and so, you know, it was just great to be able to come someplace where ideas are respected, even when they're not agreed with, but they're given opportunity to be expressed, opportunity to be explained, and an opportunity to be pursued. which was for me very comfortable. And of course, something that I realized very early on was going to happen, although I don't think I knew that the first day, was that uh, we are open to being honest about the fact that although many of us are theists, we don't really have a wonderful history as theists. We really don't, and we're working from a standpoint um, of a large heritage of people who have not handled theism well, and so we're open to being critical of the theistic position and of many of of course, many of the ideas that we came from, and there's something about that is also refreshing, because particularly since I at one time I was a fundamentalist, it's good to be able to talk about that without necessarily having to wear it on my sleeve or without being so, like an ex-smoker, just really pissed about all that stuff, but to really just kind of take a look at it honestly and share this with other people who are open to hearing it.
You know, I want to make this comment. It's been powerful talking with you on the telephone. It's been very much an encouragement to me. My wife and I, we have fought with the rest of the people here in Pensacola, many battles, just trying to move forward, trying to get atheists and theists together. But, my relationship with you on the phone is such that I feel like I can let my hair down. I don't have to walk on, eggshells. And that has been therapeutic for me. It's been wonderful just developing, this relationship. I can say, wow, Bob Greaves is not just a host on a show, but, he's a dear friend. And, this means a lot. And so now when my wife and I talk about you and your wife, we don't talk about you guys at a distance. It's, you guys are very much in our hearts. And we didn't expect that kind of magic to happen. But when you have that kind of connection and it just starts working and people start coming together, and I don't even have to say, hey, Bob, what about this? Why don't you teach on this? It just automatically evolves, and it's powerful. And every time that we listen to your teachings, sometimes we'll go to the house and lay in the bed and just lay there and weep, just tears of joy, simply because, it's, you have a message, you have a heart, you have a manner which really is connecting to where we are, that is in our journey, and everybody here. And I would like to just bring one person up after another just to applaud you, because you deserve to be applauded. You deserve to be number one on television, etc. Simply because, you have amazed us, and we did not expect that. And when you start talking about things that you don't expect someone to wow you that much, but you certainly have done that for us, big time.
I was going to say too that your demeanor is very kind, but, and there's a but, whenever we had the show with Ten Rugenkate, and we watched it over and over, just as recently as probably 4 weeks ago, we are like, Bob chewed him another one. You know what I'm saying? Bob was in there, and it was awesome. It was, and you weren't rude about it, but yet, he did not have any wiggle room whatsoever. And I like that. I like that you can, be nice and still stand toe-to-toe with somebody, and at the end of the conversation, you're not, mortal enemies with them. I think that's a great characteristic.
One of the goals at the place at NCG Studios is to be able to have conversations with people from all different places in life, atheists and theists, And sometimes, depending on who you're talking to, they want to take the conversation to a place that's irrational or superstitious or unsensible. And I think Bob does a great job of keeping the conversation in a place that is sensible, that is rational. And I admire that a lot.
I like too that he'll say, I don't know, or, it's okay not to know that right now. And I really admire that about Bob.
The thing that I like about Bob so much is when I watch Greg Bray and Bob on Inspiring Honesty, it reminds me of that show, I Love Lucy. Because when it first started, and many people can't remember that particular program because they're not old enough, but the evolution of it was, these people were just developing right in front of you, with this relationship. And that's exactly what has happened with, an atheist and a theist right before our very eyes. And it's been a very honest.
Which one's Lucy? Which one's Lucy?
I don't know. Which one's Desi?
I got to tell you, that's one thing that I don't think that I anticipated as much. I mean, I thought that Greg and I would have a civil relationship, but I had no idea what to expect. I've never taken on, say, a long-term commitment to be in discussion with an atheist before. So this is a first for me. And I really didn't know what to think, but the truth is that Greg and I have become friends, and I mean that. I'd bend over backwards for the guy in any way that I needed to, and care about him, care about his family, and in a sense, he's just one of the people who's become very precious to me, and I just enjoy our relationship. And I'll tell you something. It is so refreshing to be able to talk to someone where one of the more fundamental aspects of what defines us is something we disagree on, and that is not an issue for either of us in terms of our ability to not only get along, but to enjoy each other and to respect each other. And I'll tell you, that one night when Greg did that presentation on the place of evolution,
Right. That was awesome. Yeah.
That was-
it was amazing. It was just way impressive. He did a fantastic job. And that night, I think that was early on. That was, I guess, a month or so into this. I can't remember. But it was about 10 months ago, 11 months ago. But when he did that, I was so impressed with the clarity of his presentation and the thoroughness of it. And he really developed it sequentially very well. And of course, even though I am a theist, he certainly wasn't talking about something I would disagree with either. I personally reject the more evangelical and fundamentalist view of young Earth creationism and interpreting Genesis in some sort of a literal manner, which is kind of strange to me that people would do that. It was listening to it's the opposite of having to listen to a John Piper video where he talks about things. I was just recently listening to one where he's talking about how God has the right to do any sort of evil. He didn't put it that way, but that God has the right to kill people. God has the right to and anything He pleases. It amazes me that there are believers who approach the biblical text that way, and it's just So when Greg gave that evolution presentation, I thought it was awesome. It was really knocked it out of the park. It was impressive. Gained from me a great deal of respect for who Greg is and the work he has done to make sense of the things he's made sense of. Great. I wish he could have been here.
Yeah.
I needed to, I actually want to jump in here and make this statement. A lot of people don't understand how much work goes beyond, that goes on behind the scenes. Bob Greaves and Greg Bray they have spent countless hours in preparation for so many shows. And, all the production meetings that we've had and all of the things that they keep doing. This is much more than just a network. It's a movement of people. And they see the vision. In fact, we have atheists and theists alike writing, in a sense, a mission statement. We wanted to change the term mission, and Greg Bray, our resident atheist, biologist actually, and atheist, he keeps saying, no, mission is fine. And, it's been encouraging to get the advice of both sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
That has been such a wonderful wrestling match. And I don't know, I'd like to hear what you have to say concerning this movement called the New Covenant Group. What are your thoughts?
But you're talking to me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like the name because it is, in one sense, descriptive, and in another sense, not descriptive. And when people get to know us a little bit, the name starts to sound a little funny, But to me, it engages them into the question, and until they realize, what we're talking about in a covenant, not in the same sense as what we normally use the word. And so I like that. I like the fact that we are looking for, and as you've emphasized it mostly on the place, we're looking for intellectual, spiritual, and scriptural honesty. We're not even necessarily claiming to possess any answers. We just feel we've got a lot of things we've considered, and we've got a lot of good questions too. And I really like that because although I think we have a lot to offer, I don't think we're offering it in a manner where we're pontificating or dictating or insisting or talking down necessarily to people and things like that. And by the way, one thing about Greg that I wanted to mention was that after that presentation he did on evolution, there was something about it that caused me to even change the way that I talk to young Earth creationists when I speak to them, or other people who have doubts about evolution, and that is that something that I think that some scientists don't do as well as they should, and that is there's this common misunderstanding among many so-called traditional Christians that evolution is just a theory, and they don't understand the meaning of theory in science. So that in science, and I got this, I picked it up from Greg's show that evolution is in a sense a theory to try to explain evolution, the fact. And it's a fact that the organisms that are currently present on the Earth haven't always been here in this current condition, and that there was a time when the organisms that are now here in the current condition, they were not only here, but there are other organisms here, and somehow that continuum, one led to the other. So the theory to attempt to explain it is the theory of evolution, but the reality of the facts are that things have evolved. Even if we can't explain necessarily how. So, just hearing his presentation on that helped me to talk about evolution, the fact, evolution, the theory, and those are two different things, but they're closely related.
I'd like to put you on the spot for a moment. What are your predictions for the next
Sure.
year?
Yeah, you think that you could be with us for one more year?
Sure. Yeah. Now you were breaking up there, so it was hard for me to hear what you said.
I was
What
asking
am
if you thought you could be with us one more year. Can you give us?
I
one more
will
year?
try
Okay.
to put up with you guys. No, I don't picture if we do something different ever, it'll be just because other things just move and evolve that way. But I don't have any anticipation of ever bringing this down. I'd like to see this grow into something. So that the whole thing, all of us, move in perhaps other directions we hadn't anticipated, to move things forward in a manner where I don't want to force anything upon the world. I don't want to force anything upon believers. I'm not interested in being abusive or demanding. But I would really, it would do my heart good to see a great number of people uh, intelligently arrested in their own thinking so that they come to within themselves a different understanding that they can be honest with, that would help turn theism into something that could once again possess uh, an integrity it has lost. And although I say that, I think it's important to recognize that there's a lot of aspects of our culture that have become a little too superficial, a little too disingenuous, and theism isn't the only thing that's suffering in this way. It's just part of our culture that we're suffering with. I think sometimes education itself is suffering some tremendous disingenuousness. We're not really teaching people to love learning and to love truth as they may discover it, and to love confusion as they might encounter it. We're really trying to just enable people to have certain skills and sets to where they can just do the kind of things we need them to do, so we can all make some money here, or so that our side can win, and so I think that the superficiality that Christianity has suffered from is certainly far more widespread than that. But I'd like to see us have an impact on that, so that we bring honest consideration of these various different problems and ideas from various different viewpoints that are out there back into a respectable dialogue, however we end up doing that.
That's one of the things I think probably, well, a couple of things I want to say is, in October of last year, you were on the network about 2 months, and you played God at the Holy Ghost revival. And I think that's when we all, metaphorically fell in love with you, because you did not have a problem whatsoever donning this mask that looked like, who was it, Gandalf?
Yeah.
And
He was way more attractive on that show too. I mean, I thought.
But
Step up.
right away we're like, Bob is awesome. I mean, he's going to put a mask on and project his voice and play the part of God in a crazy, crazy, crazy way, and that
Blasphemous.
yeah, well, that endeared us to you. And also, you taught me something early on. You said to give somebody 15 minutes at least when they're you're speaking together and you're in a dialogue. Don't like poo-poo their idea right away. And I had a bad habit of doing that. I hear something, I'm like, that's stupid, that's dumb, that doesn't make sense, that takes too long to figure out. I mean, I would just...
It really hurt me, honestly, every time you did it.
No, you're pretty reasonable. But I would deflect everything and filter it through just, my mind. But Bob was like, not to me personally, he said, but it struck me personally. He said, give somebody 15 minutes, whatever they're saying, think about it for at least 15 minutes, and, let it have some weight in your mind, and think about it. And then you can make, a judgment, or you just say, I appreciate, the comments or whatever. And it's really made a difference in my life.
I'm glad that you had that reaction, because I remember that day, your initial reaction was to stomp out of the studio and say, that's stupid. I'm glad
By the
you
way,
came around.
I gotta introduce you here to my assistant executive producer. This is my wife.
Is that Lisa?
Oh,
hey, girl.
okay.
Hey there.
Yeah.
There she is.
Yeah, and she's the one who keeps me supplied with water.
Water. And that big cup.
And it's often very encouraging, because sometimes when we say something that touches her, I can hear her in the other room. She's back she's like 3 rooms away, listening to the show on her computer. And sometimes she'll hear something she likes, and you hear her go, woohoo, or if you say something funny, she's in there cutting up. It's just kind of encouraging. And
Well, this must mean a lot to her, because there has been no other occasion in which you or anybody has been able to get Lisa on camera. So it says a lot.
Yeah, she's kind of shy, and
I am. I am.
yeah. And I'll tell you what, the truth is, I only tased her twice. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's reasonable. That's reasonable.
Uh, yeah, but is there anything you'd like to say about the last year? What has it meant to you?
Oh, I can't tell you how happy I am that I guess you guys called Bob. Is that right? You got in contact with him to be
Right.
on the show.
Yeah, let's not get
Right.
into the details of the begging that was involved.
Is that how it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Lots of begging.
that
We-
was
We
that
actually
was
had him on a
great.
show.
You know, Bob has for a long time wanted to find some like-minded people, and they just really aren't to be had that much, not at least in this area. So it's been great, and I love the inclusiveness and the diversity of the show, that everybody's welcome, and no matter what your ideas are, that means a lot to both of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well,
Wonderful.
it's a cherished
Now-
quality.
Breaking up a bit, so I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Well, I said that is a quality of this network that we all cherish.
Definitely, yes. And we've all come to like. And I'll say this. Another question that I had, and I'll answer it first myself. I'm curious about, in our relationship with each other, is there any way in which we have changed each other's thinking? And I got to say that there are a lot of issues that I myself hadn't really even thought about or looked into. Even though my paradigm had been changing, I had never really looked to apply it in so many ways. And I'd have to say that the going back into the New Testament in a way that I had just really stayed away from for a number of years for various reasons, and going back at it with the freedom that we had here helped me to put far more clearly a sense of Jesus, who's confronting the cult of Yahweh instead of somehow. And Joey had a big impact on me in that one video he put together where he talked about the absurdity of trying to just pack all of this in together and try to make it tell a coherent, complete story. I thought that was an excellent video, and it expressed something which to me kind of loosened me up to just take a look at the text, let it say what it says, and if it is working coherently, let it do so. And if it isn't working coherently, to be able to be free to really just say so and point out those things. I know that's one way in which I don't think I was aware of how much of the biblical text was, for me, incoherently put together.
If I may say
Yeah.
so, I just want to jump in and say, Joey, you are absolutely gifted
Oh,
at
yeah.
putting these different videos together and stuff. They're amazing.
Go on.
Oh, we loved it. We love them. Yeah. So I'm curious, though,
He
is there
wants you to
anything
brag
that I
about it a little
have
bit
done
more.
that may have changed some of your thinking?
Well, you're speaking on a subject that I'm really interested about right now. So
Yeah, I can understand that.
Let's talk a little bit more about Joey. We love Joey. We do. And I'll tell you what, when we first met you guys, one thing I thought, and now I look back at it, I think it's kind of cute. Joey called me on the phone a number of times, and he was very polite and very kind, but I could also tell that he'd never opened the network up to somebody so far away, someone he didn't know, and he was so interested in making sure that this wasn't going to be a bad idea. And he was careful. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to come in and be a flash in the pan and leave, or leave you high and dry, or turn on you. And he was really concerned about the show, and yet he tried to express that without saying the wrong thing, whatever. And to me, that showed me his devotion and his concern for making this really work. It was great.
that comes from years of just getting beat.
Well, I can understand why.
That is not true. We did not beat him.
I did not say
No,
you beat me.
I beat him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But you know
I
what?
had-
You're exactly
yeah.
right, Bob. You're very intuitive there. I mean, Joey can be, as a producer, really abrupt and I would say borderline rude sometimes. That's but because I try to go the opposite and be really really extra nice, and so he's very abrupt, and sometimes he would like cut people off and that's it, and you don't have any more time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, but this is like his baby, and he's very devoted to it. And I will say, Bob and Lisa, he's probably divulged himself more to you two, as a couple there, and given a lot of credence to the work that you do together at the New Covenant group, and so it's pretty solid. And whenever Joey thinks something's solid, then we're like, they're solid.
Yeah.
He's not one to, like you said, just willy-nilly trust and give away the
Okay.
barn.
You guys have almost rendered me speechless. If you talk
Yeah.
about me just a little bit more, I'll be there. But this is really about Bob. Bob, I do want to say that Dr. Jones was a huge fan of yours before you and I even spoke one-on-one. When you were a guest on the show that first time, you won me over with the electric guitar.
Oh, cool.
And I loved what you did as a guest. You still remain our most rockin' guest so far when you were a guest, and now you are a host, and you are your friend. You're a friend. You're family, and that was my caution at the beginning, is because we get close to people, and if it's not the right fit, it can hurt a lot. And
Sure.
So,
You were breaking up there, so it's kind of hard for us to hear exactly what you're saying. But
Oh.
We got
yeah, we got the gist of it, and I think it's a good fit. I think we've come together. We've become friends. I've never even seen you guys face to face, in the flesh, and I look forward to someday when we can do that. But I just wish that you lived next door. We could just have you over for dinner. It'd be awesome. That'd be great. But I'm curious. We only have a few more minutes left, and the producer's sitting up there, so he can't call the time. But I was just curious. Is there anything that I've been doing that actually
annoys you.
annoys you? Shifted some of your thinking or opened you up in a different. I'm just curious. Has that happened?
Can you repeat the last part of that? I couldn't hear it.
He wants to
No.
know if there's anything that has changed our thinking from him, or annoyed him, or annoyed us,
Everything
Yeah.
that annoys us.
or changed our thinking, or
I-
changed our thinking by annoying us.
Well,
Oh, either way, is there anything that I've done that caused him to go, I hadn't thought of it that way.
I think there are various things, possibly countless. But, I remember the first show that we did with you. One of the things that I told my wife immediately after the show, I said, this guy's not stuck in the Bible. He's not stuck with this concept of Yahweh, or he's not stuck even with the idea of grace or the cross. He will probably say at some point that Jesus was murdered, and that wasn't necessary to be saved or anything like that, and he can move past all of those theological concepts. And that, I think it freed me. We have similar backgrounds because we come from, a very rigid form of theology, and, we have to be enabled in a sense to move forward. And I think the biggest thing that you did for us, I think, was to give us the courage, maybe that's a good word here, the courage to take some big steps instead of being worried about these big steps. Because today, we're not worried about the big steps any longer, and I think it has a lot to do with what you have done for us, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. Bob definitely made us as a group stronger and bolder. Can you hear me, Bob?
I can. You're breaking up, but I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Stronger, bolder, and we have moved forward quicker, and he has been a huge part of that.
Right. Now, when it comes
I-
to,
you know-
particular things changing my mind about various things, yes, much in every way. I like, the way that you're trying to frame things. I can't remember which show it was, but someone was talking about the earth could not be young. And I know that you're not a young earth creationist in any sense of the word, but you compared it in a sense to, I think, a painting that your mother did, if I'm not mistaken. And you said, the painting
break it up.
is of something that's not actually real, but it looks real and it has the appearance of age. And so, you let it in an artistic expression kind of context.
Yeah, that
And
really
I thought it was wonderful.
that
Very
really made us
powerful.
think. Do you remember that argument, Bob?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Where, that God, because it was kind of the God cutting to the chase in building a past into.
Yeah.
That was a necessary ecological balance. It's, why wait? That sort of thing. Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I know that changed about me that has become very central to the way I'm thinking is I've not been conventional. In fact, we named the show The Unconventional Pastor right away. But I think that I'm not interested in becoming, an enemy or an aggressor. But I think I do see some of the real dangers and abuse in certain aspects of tradition, to where I think it really does need a proper confrontation, and so I'm more willing to do that without trying to do it with hostility, but to try to do it with a, hey, wait a minute, let's really think this through and recognize the implications of what we've been saying, and be honest about whether or not this is something that needs to be considered in a very different way. And I think I've seen the real need to do that far more than I did before. I just didn't buy into some stuff, but I didn't necessarily see it as something I needed to be a little more aggressive with dealing with. And I think I do see that now, and what have you. Anyhow, it looks to me like we've kind of run out of our time, and I know we're going to continue on with the place in a moment, but perhaps this is a good time for us to then take the break. And I'm going to thank Lisa for coming on here.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Yeah?
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
We tried to put a blooper reel of all the moments on your show with the unconventional pastor and inspiring
No,
honesty, but it just ended up being all footage of Greg, so we just decided to to throw it out. Yeah, it just didn't work out.
I can't believe that.
Well, I'm not going to give out any details, but Lisa and I have been making plans and putting together one of our own reels.
Oh, nice.
No further details yet.
That's a
But you're
teaser.
going to love it.
All right. Well, we love you, Bob,
And Lisa.
Thank you.
and we love you, Lisa. Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
you too, guys.
So
Yeah.
anyway, so we'll sign off for now. And,
Hey, is this a sign of things to come? Is Lisa going to be on your show more often?
I hope that she will feel free to come back on from time to time, and I think there'd be a great time for us to do, particularly shows like this where we're really kind of reflecting and looking back at things, and not necessarily pushing a particular topic. But so yeah, I hope so, and she'll warm up to it. Well, Lisa's a bit shy, and when she does things like this, she doesn't look forward to it, and then she does, and she has great times, right?
Yes.
Didn't even see me pull the string. Yeah.
Hey, we love you, Bob, so much, and we've enjoyed this last year with you, and
Many years to come.
we can't brag enough about it, and we
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to spend the rest of what life is with you guys. Thank you so much, and we love you.
Take care.